In a beautiful park in the midst of the chaos of the city, it was a pleasant summer afternoon. Well, maybe not as pleasant for everybody. A young couple was coming down the sidewalk by this park for what seemed like a picnic, maybe. The young man was trying to use his techniques in order to amuse the young lady and get her attention. The lady, on the other side, was trying to be tough on him. Even though, based on my own life experience, I could tell you she was totally into him. Well, maybe not totally. She wasn't helping much, so what could he do to get her attention? That's when the young man saw an old bag lying by a tree. He opened the bag to see what was inside of it and then looked around to see if he found its owner and saw a street cleaner far back sweeping some leaves. He then had an idea. He decided to play a prank on that worker. He spit in the bottle to see the worker's reaction drinking from it later on. Maybe this way the lady would notice him. He was about to put the bottle back in the bag when she stopped him. She couldn't believe he was really about to do what she thought he would. He replied, telling her to relax. There was no harm in it. She then proposed a different idea. She told him to replace the warm and spit water by the fresh cold water they had just bought. He thought she was ruining his joke, but he did it. In addition, she handed the old worker's shirt to the guy. He couldn't believe it, but he did it anyways. Not satisfied, she still replaced the weird-smelling food by her fresh and tasty sandwich. She grabbed the man by his hand and they hid behind a tree to watch the worker's reaction when he opened the bag. In the meanwhile, on the other side of the park, the worker was glad in his misery. After all, he was nearly finished. Maybe not as much. And finally, he could call it a day. One more day, or maybe one less day, as he preferred to count his life. The good thing is that he was so thirsty and hungry that his mind couldn't focus on these depressing thoughts now. He opened his bag, already dreading for the fact of his bottle of water must be boiling hot by now, and his food sort of yucky. For his surprise, he felt something different inside it. He looked around to find whoever might be playing that trick on him. He was a bit scared at first, or should I say, wary. It just seemed to him that life keeps beating you up, and then you think it was already bad enough, it still can get worse. So what was the catch here, he thought. But not finding anyone, he started to take out the same things that are already there in the first place. But somehow, they were renewed now, just as if it were some sort of magic bag. feeling started to overcome him, and tears couldn't stop coming to his eyes as it dawned on him that there was no catch. He cried then like he hadn't cried for ages, but this time he was not crying of sadness. He couldn't help but look up to the heavens in a thankful gesture, because this simple miracle gave him a glimpse of what he hadn't felt in a very, very long time. Hope. Far away, behind a tree, the couple watched this shocking scene. They turned around still mesmerized for what they had just seen. They couldn't say anything, even though they wanted to. But if any words were to come out of their mouths, certainly it would be, "Now, don't you have a good feeling?"